What's up? What's up? What's up, people? What's good, people? Sorry about that. What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the Rob Van Harris podcast, guys. Man, it's a special day today, guys. I'm here with my brother, my friend, my man, Cashton Glasgow, guys. What's up, brother?
Rob, man, it's such a pleasure to be here to hang out on your podcast.
My man.
Yeah, man, it's dope. It's beautiful.
I appreciate you, brother. I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that. Well, man, just look, man. I know you know, man. I've had the pleasure and the honor to come into the man cave. You know what I mean, and breaking bread with you. It was only right that you come through and break bread with me. You know what I mean?
Well, I think that's the thing, bro. Every time we kind of get together, we end up just having these intellectual and filling conversations.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to be back.
I'm excited,
on
man.
yours, bro.
I'm excited. So just quick intro and recap as to what this podcast is about, bro. So what I focus on here, man, is a lot of what me and you talk about as men, right? You know what I mean? I'm focused on building up not just people, real estate businesses or businesses just in a whole, but I focus on building up the overall man and one man, right? So I want to help people not to just win in business, but to win in life.
Yeah.
You know, to win in family.
Yeah.
To win in overall wholeness. So that's what we focus here on my podcast, man. So I had to bring in my man because today we're going to talk about something that's very dear to me, man, and that's mindset. That's mindset. And you had hit something, man, one time, and you kind of had me at one of my wow moments when you started talking about mind insurance, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the light bulb moment. And I want to talk about that in just a minute, man. But just in the meantime, let's dig into telling the people a little bit about who you are. The people who don't know who you are, tell them a little bit about who you are, what it is you do. Just a quick snapshot of, who is Cashton.
Yeah, man. So I am I don't even want to say recovering. Coming from being a 9-to-5, I used to be a cybersecurity engineer. And so in 2020, I left my job, not because it was a bad job, but I felt like there was a calling on my life that, like, there were times I would be at the office. I remember clearly being in my office on Wall Street, looking over the Brooklyn Bridge and thinking, wow, coming from Trinidad, I've been able to start from doing demolition and cleaning my church for money, made it all the way to the 34th floor, be on Wall Street, and there was still something missing. And there would be times I'll call my wife crying at my desk, like, babe, there has to be more to life. And there was this pulling, this calling that I wanted to figure out. And so COVID happened in 2020 and my job, they were giving severance packages. And we had just bought our real estate course. January of 2020. Right? Put 30 racks for our first real estate course. What? Yeah, we put 30 down.
30
to get
real estate course.
To get started. And when we got started, COVID happened. And so I felt like I learned enough. So when my job started giving severance packages, they were like, you're good because you're cybersecurity. We need you. And I'm like, nah, I'm gonna take it. Because if you could pay me for 6 months, I'm confident with what I'm learning that I'll be able to execute. And so I hired a high performance coach. Other than the real estate coach, a high performance coach, to help me to with time blocking and just help me to I didn't know what it was I didn't write things down at that point in time. Like I was just kind of winging it. And bro, when I left July 1st to December, my wife and I, we wholesaled 1.5 times my 6-figure salary that I used to make.
Wow.
Yeah. 1.5 times.
1.5 times.
In 2021, we went from 1 to 21 doors.
Wait a minute. Let's back up. Let's pause just for a minute. Let's put a fork in the roll right there for a minute. Wait a minute. Yeah. So you said in 2020, COVID was running time. COVID, you was still on Wall. You was at Wall Street at that time.
Yeah.
You took the severance. You left.
Yep.
Started wholesaling. So within the next 12 months, 2021, you had how many doors?
21 doors.
21 doors.
Yeah.
My God.
Yeah. Because here's what I would say to people. Don't hate the thing that you do so much that you try to forget about it. And hindsight is 2020. I could say this looking back now, to not despise the job that you currently have. The reason why is because it's the things that I learned as a cybersecurity engineer that made me learn how to reverse engineer. Hey, okay, I have this goal. This is what I need to do, because I started using data to make decisions. And so I'm like, okay, I want to have cash flow, and I don't really have money. Matter of fact, when we started with $100,000 in debt when we started, right?
Wow.
And so that's a whole different conversation. The level of focus, belief, and everything that you gotta have to. The fact being that you're over 100K in debt, but you believe that you could achieve it.
That part.
Yeah.
That part right there.
Right.
I'm a true believer in that, man. You know what I mean? I talked about that last week, man. My man Mike was on a podcast week before last, man, and we was talking about how, the mindset on how when you can believe something, man, you can receive that thing. You know what I mean? Because it's one thing to want. But so I give this prime example. It's like me and my son was talking about this. Me and Lil Rob was talking about this yesterday, and he was talking about purpose. And I was like, discovering your purpose, kiddo, because he just got out of high school. You know what I mean? So he's trying to find his way. And even though he's looking at like my parents is over here in position, you know what I mean? And yeah, I want to be in the family business, but what is it that I'm passionate about? What is it that brings joy to my life? I said, that's purpose. Now we talking about purpose. And I said, okay, you got to ask yourself these 3 questions right here. 1, what naturally comes to you that may be difficult for your friends or others?
Yeah.
That's number 1.
Yeah.
I said, number 2, would you do it for free? And I said, number 3, son, I said, are you a giver? Are you a giver? Because I truly believe that when you give from a place of abundance, you will live 100%. In a place of abundance.
100%.
They used to sing it in the church. Give and it shall come back to you, right?
Yeah.
And we used to hear that all the time. But now, and even like the people that ain't even like really like into the church, they know like the like reciprocity. You know what I mean? Like that really does exist, man. So, and I want to tap on this because that's so powerful, bro. Like 21 doors. Before we go into the next subject, like how did you scale so fast? Because there's people right now, bro, that's losing their jobs. Yeah. There's people right now that's going to be listening to this podcast, rather today, a week from now, and 2 weeks from now, that's right now that's on the edge of wanting to either quit their job or getting fired from their jobs. And you made a decision. Yeah. And you mentioned wife too, because that's something you made a type of decision that you couldn't just make alone. I'm pretty 100%. Sure your wife had 100%. A lot to do with that decision 100%. As well. How did y'all come together, man, as a union and scale so fast just within a year's time, 21 doors?
So what you got to know is particular to that question with me and my wife, what you got to know and understand is for 2.5 years prior to that, I had shut down my Amazon business because my wife, like I was a terrible leader. Wow. And my wife started saying things that my ex-wife who I had to get a divorce. And I always joke and say I've been married 1.5 times before because I was married, got a divorce, and then I was engaged to be married and she gave me back my ring.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
And I heard the same words from my wife starting to come out of her mouth that they both said. And I'm like, hold on. The common denominator is me. I shut down my business immediately. I was making over 30K a month on Amazon. Shut it down and started focusing on my wife and I.
Wow.
Focusing on me.
Wow.
Focusing on her and working through things for 2.5 years. Got off of social media. And it was just straight focus. Straight focus on us. So it got to the point where we got good. Then I started to be like, all right, babe, we ready? She's like, I think we're ready. Okay, what's the avenue? Real estate. Okay, cool. Let's do that. And I just really believe, other than the strategy, God really blessed the decision to focus on my marriage.
You said something on a post, on a recent post on your podcast. I don't know if it was a clip from your podcast or just, something you put out there on social media, but I really tapped into it. You said focus management. What is that? What is focus management? Now that we're talking about focus, help me understand that.
People always say time management, but you really can't manage time. Time is gonna go anyway.
Facts.
Right?
Facts.
You can't manage time, but what you could do is manage what you focus on within the time.
Oh gosh, boy, that's a clip moment. That's a short moment right there.
It's bro, you can't manage time. You can only manage what you focus on within the time.
I totally agree.
And so when you start focusing, and I came up with this thought when I started prior, when I had my 9-to-5 job, cybersecurity engineer, making over 150, right? Still doing Uber in the morning. So I'm waking up at 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning, going on the road to do Uber.
And you was making 150
yearly? Because I'm like, how do people make $1 million? So I'm like, I got the work ethic. So let me do it.
Okay.
So I'm like, I'm gonna wake up at 4, start doing Uber. Come home at night, my wife and I, we started doing t-shirt business. So we printing t-shirts at night. All while, and then added real estate to the pile.
Okay.
And so I'm at work, I stopped having lunch with my boss. I'm like, hey, I can't have lunch with y'all no more. I got to go in the office, go make calls while I eat. So I started calling the list that my mentor was telling me to call while I was eating, while I'm on Wall Street. Coming home, finishing, make some calls, then I got to go print some shirts. Bro, I was filling every single minute of my waking time with something to do. And I'm like, I'm doing something wrong.
Wow.
It ain't my work ethic.
Wow.
But it's what I focused on.
Pause for me. Guys, again, welcome to the Rob Van Harris podcast. Guys, listen, the way this thing is structured, we are here to help you guys in every way possible, right? So help me to help y'all. I need y'all to leave y'all comments, leave y'all questions. You're talking and interacting with me and Keshton live, guys. So listen, you can leave a comment if you have a question for myself or Keshton. If you want to come up and talk to us live, just make sure your camera is on and your audio is right. We'll bring you behind stage and bring you on. But more importantly, guys, I want you to understand that I need you to help me to help y'all. So interaction is the key. Leave a comment. Make sure that somebody's a hustler. Yeah, he's definitely a hustler. He definitely is a hustler, man. And that's powerful, bro, because you mentioned something. So you're getting up, you're grinding, you're printing t-shirts at night. The goal was $1 million, right? So was that something? What was it about the $1 million? Was like why was the number $1 million? Or was it just to become a millionaire, period? Yes. Or was that a set goal, like written in stone, that you wanted to touch $1 million that year?
I thought that the thing that I was looking for was in money. I thought that I was going to find it in money. And so I'm like, well, I hit the 100,000 because, people always say, like, when you hit that 100,000, you're going to be good. You get there and then you realize, like, bro, hold on. Like,
much. Yeah.
Right.
Wait a minute. Yeah. More money, more problems.
So when you I just wanted to get to another thing to see if that thing was going to get there. Right?
Mm-hmm.
We got to that thing in 2022.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was like, oh, hold on. The red carpet didn't pull out. Aladdin magic carpet didn't come sweep us up.
Wow. With that being said, a lot of people, I think, is on or have been on that same journey to reach that goal of becoming a millionaire, right? And I think that a lot of people in their minds, they think that once I become a millionaire, like I've reached success. You know what I mean? That's success.
Yeah.
And that leads me to my next question for you. How would you define success?
It's a powerful question. And I think that everyone I coach a lot of people, and it's the number one thing that makes people chase their tails is because they haven't defined success. So how do I define success?
Yeah.
Fulfilling God's purpose for my life.
Period. And you know the funny thing, which is, it's not a coincidence that I talk to a lot of successful people like yourself. And yeah, we all have different morals, different backgrounds, religions, belief systems. But I noticed that for the most part, when it comes to defining what success look like for them, is usually within that same realm of things. You know what I mean? Like I have a saying that say, you know what I mean? Like when we change our thinking, we can change our lives. You know what I mean? And that was one of the things that I thought that money would bring me happiness. So I can relate to that a lot.
Yeah.
But then you touched $100,000, the $300,000 in a year, and then the M, and you realize that, shoot, I got just as much problems I had now than when I was broke. More, in fact.
Yeah, more.
So with that being said, that leads me to our subject here. Let's dig into that today, because I know a lot of people were scratching their heads like, what do Rob and Keshton mean as to what is, mine insurance? We're going to talk about that in just a little. Let's take that one right there, Keshton.
How did you find out what your purpose was? So it was actually on my real estate journey. It was on my real estate journey.
Good question, Tim.
Yeah, great question. And we joined a same coaching program, sub 2.
Okay.
And in sub 2, I started doing these daily dial calls. Right. And I was there from the beginning. I was there since 2020. So it was like, we started the daily dials, we started doing these calls, and I was teaching people sales, because people were like, bro, how are you doing this? How are you scaling so fast, getting so much properties and all that type of stuff? And I'm like, you just do it. I didn't know what I was doing intellectually then.
Wow.
Clients have made me slow down to think what I did retrospectively. And so while I was doing these daily dials, I started to realize that no matter how much sales I teach these people, they weren't being successful. I'm like, yo, minds is screwed up. So I started introducing a few minutes on mindset. It started off with like 10. Then it got to like 30. Then one day I remember saying, screw it. I'm not teaching sales anymore. This is a mindset call. It's now called Transformation Tuesdays. Totally rebranded the entire thing. And I just started teaching people mindset, teaching people how to reverse engineer their goals and all of that. And then one day, a gentleman by the name of Conti sent me a message. He said, I know you don't think you're good at this or you're an expert at this, but I'll pay you for you to help me in my business and in my marriage.
Wow.
I took a screenshot of it.
Wow.
I sent it to my mom. My wife was like, what do you think I should do?
Wow.
I'm like, he wants to pay me? Really? And my mother said, I've been telling you this is who you are.
Wow. Wow. All along, you're taking imperfect action. You're just getting up, doing the thing.
Fulfilling what I feel like God is telling me to do.
Wow. I think that's where a lot of us, especially as men, come to a halt. We think we need to have all the things in order. We need to connect all the dots. We have to study. We have to have everything perfect before we go out there and start to implement what we've learned or what we feel as though God is calling us to do.
Yeah.
And what happens is what we're about to get into, you become complacent, and then weeks go by, then months go by, and years go by, and you still saying that I'm still going to one day be a real estate investor. I'm still one day going to do the thing, whatever that thing is. And you realize that God, God already been put it on your heart. He been gave you the desire, but there's no action.
Exactly.
But you got out and took imperfect action. And in the midst of you taking imperfect action, you started getting people to wave their hands and saying, hey, man, you're making an impact. And I think ultimately, man, that when we really truly discover our purpose, because it's a quote that say that the two most important days of your life, bro, is when the day you was born and the day you find out why you was born. You found your why in that.
I found my why.
You found your why in that.
Yeah.
And that was like, you've attached that to something now greater than money. And what I say earlier, when I was talking to my son about it, I said, one of the number two was, what is the thing that you would actually do for free?
Yeah.
And you light up when you talk about this stuff, bro.
Yeah.
What is buying insurance? Let's talk about this.
So let me finish answering his question, right? Because when I said yes to that guy, I helped him triple his business in 90 days. Triple his business.
In 90 minutes?
In 90 days.
In 90 days.
And then he was able to get back to a place with his wife that he wanted and with his kids. The feeling I got from that was better than any money I had made at once. And I have made over $500,000 in one deal. And I was like, wow.
Purpose.
Dude, I'm like, what is this feeling that I feel? Because I was hunting for it. I left my job because of it. And I felt it. And I'm like, I got to do this again.
Yeah.
And then I tried it again. And then again. And now I'm a crackhead for it. Where it's like, I just want to continue to help people achieve their goals, but also discover their purpose too.
That part.
Because of what it did to me, I'm now like, you got to discover your purpose. Like, it's the thing that's missing. And so what is mine insurance? Mine insurance, there's backstory, but I'll tell you what it is first, and then I'll explain it.
Okay.
When you discover your purpose, you need a tool to be able to stay on track to achieve your purpose.
Come on now.
Because otherwise you're going to be pulled away and you're going to want to go back to what's comfortable and normal. And if you don't have mind insurance, you're going to go right back to the life you had before.
Wow.
So what is mind insurance?
Wow.
Let's
Let's pause just for a second.
All right, cool.
Guys, purpose. Now we talking about purpose here. And if you just logging in, you just get, this is important because a lot of people just want to be zapped to the top of the mountain. But it's the things he shared with you guys just now. It's the little things that you develop, how you develop, and the things you gain in the midst of the process on the way to the mountain, top of the mountain, right?
Yeah.
It's the things that's going to help you to sustain and stay there when you get there, when you finally arrive to that place. So he's being vulnerable right now because a lot of people can relate to this when I say this, that we live in a social media generation, right? So everybody only show the things that they're great at or the things that they appear to be great at. They don't share their flaws.
Yeah.
You just now talked about imperfect action. You talked about how you was getting up, getting out there and doing the work, and you really didn't, in your mind, you said the guy said to you, I know you think that you may not be good at this. Yeah. That means that you was being vulnerable. You wasn't getting up on this thing and acting like you knew it all and that you basically arrived.
No, I don't know.
And people can see that. People consider the reason I even do this podcast, because I get that all the time from people saying, man, Rob, where do I get started? And I want my podcast to be like a guide as to how you get started to, again, not only thrive in business, but how to thrive in life.
Yeah.
And what you and I are talking about right now, Keston, is the recipe, the true recipe for success. Because when you find your purpose, when you find out what God put you here to do, this is the real deal.
Bro,
this is when it all comes coming together.
Could I share a revelation I had
recently? Talk to me, brother. Talk to me.
Recently, so I've been pushing purpose. That's been one of my core main topics. And recently, I had a revelation that something comes before purpose.
What you got? Talk to me.
I'll give you an example first. If you think of a tree, let's think of a tree, an apple tree. If an apple tree had free will like we do, and it said, man, I'm seeing all of this, the bananas and the oranges on social media doing all that stuff. I want to be a banana tree. Would he have the possibility? Does he have the capability of producing bananas? No. It's an apple tree. You can't produce bananas.
Come on.
Right?
Yes, right.
His purpose is to produce apples. But until he know that he's an apple tree, he never lives and produces his purpose. And so your identity of who you are comes before what you do. Because it's out of you knowing who you are, you start living in the doing.
Bro, drop the mic. We can end it. If we ain't accomplished nothing else on this podcast today, that was it.
Bro,
I just was talking to a friend of mine, a brother of mine yesterday, and we were talking about hardship. And, we both, I known him since I was 9 years old. So he knew me when we were both in the hood, broke, busted, and disgusted. And I said he's one of my only friends from childhood, because people see us today, and they like, oh, well, I'm rich. You know what I mean? What problems do you have? You know what I mean? So I can't really relate to a lot of people anymore, because they just only look for you as to be a resource instead of going to or trying to get direct access to your resource. Right?
Yeah.
And I said to him, I said, bro, the truth to the matter is that one of the biggest techniques of the enemy, the devil, is that to keep you from finding out who you are, your true identity. We on that right now. In my church, we're on that right now, identity. And when you find out your identity, which ultimately is in Christ, because it's who he designed you and shaped you and molded you and brought you here to fulfill purpose, right?
Yes.
That's when you truly start to wake up and not go to work, or wake up to go to the office. You wake up and start to go to life, bro. You wake up and start to go to life, bro.
Bro, that's it, bro.
Bro, I'm dead serious. I'm not perfect, but I'm dead serious. I wake up and go to life every day, and life is not perfect, but it's one of those things where I guess it came with that. I know who I am. Nobody can come along and tell me who I am not. I said to him, it's like somebody coming along and calling you Jeff. You're like, no, sir, I'm sorry. I apologize. My name is Keston. No, you're Jeff. No, I apologize, sir. Wrong man. You know what I mean? I've been here 40 years. I know exactly who I am. When you know your identity, bro, let's dig into that a little bit more, man. Let's dig into that, because I know you're going to will it home and bring that all in, right?
Exactly. And
let's talk about that a little bit more.
You got to start from your identity, because when you know who you are, and this is the reason why when people say, I'm going to do 75 hard, I don't do that. I don't do 75 hard. I don't do those things.
What is 75 hard?
75 hard is a challenge where people do like they work out, they don't watch TV, they don't like, so they lock in.
They lock it, okay.
For 75 days.
Okay.
Here's what happens after. They crash out. They crash out and they go after the 75 days, they get the medal, the dopamine, and they're like, I made it.
I got you.
Why?
Yeah.
Because they tried to have behavioral modification and not an identity modification. When you only have behavioral change, you're using willpower. When you have an identity change, you've become the person that just does the thing.
That part right there.
That's why you start with identity. The reason why most people are not achieving their goals and being successful in life is because their identity does not match the goals that they are trying to get.
Man, I promise you, bro, it's so many clips that can be utilized and short within this one podcast.
And I promise I'm not trying.
No, I know this is really who you are, though. This why, bro, what you think I brought you here for? I know this who you're not pretending, because you know what me and you, one thing about me and you, like, we're going to keep it 100. We're going to be ourselves, especially when we're in a room. This is just a conversation that truthfully you and I would have had regardless if the camera was on or not today. Yeah. Because this is how we get together and this is how we break bread. Yeah. You know what I mean? Bro, real quick, what books, audios, podcasts, you know, that you would consider that has added positive impact to your life, even in the past, present, you know, that you would recommend to the audience?
So the books that really changed my life to start desiring to live this way. One was The Difference Maker by what's this dude's name? John Maxwell.
John Maxwell, that's my guy.
The Difference Maker.
That's my guy.
Steve Harvey Jump saved me. Steve Harvey Jump. That book saved me in a transition that I was going through when I used to be a DJ, and I stopped being a DJ. I lost my identity because we used to play music around the world, and you know, we had a lot of success, a lot of fame in that world. And when that went away, I went from being A1, that was my name, to being Kess, and I didn't know who Kess was. And so I lost my identity. I went to Egypt for 10 days just to try to find myself, right? Jump saved me to help me understand what the next thing was from Steve Harvey. Once I started getting into entrepreneurship and wanting to shift my mind, The Secrets of a Millionaire Mind, that did major work on me.
Secrets of a Millionaire Mind.
Yeah, The Secrets of a Millionaire Mind. That helped me to go from, it helped me to realize how much of a worker mindset I had. And it helped me to adapt an entrepreneurial, a wealth mindset. So many things. One of the things that slapped me in the face, I still feel the imprint on my face from what he said in this book, was when he gave an example of commission. Bro, I used to laugh at people that worked for commission. I'm like, look at this commission, Brett. You hungry. Like, look at you. But when he broke it down, that as a 9-to-5er, you got a cap, right? Commission, you work based off of your work ethic. You don't got a cap. He's like, you never want to work for a cap. Bro, that thing slapped out like my entire perspective. I am laughing at the people who is actually doing it. Shift. I'm like, wow, hold on. Because what most people don't realize is their job is buying them at wholesale and selling them at retail. When they're paying a price for you, but the services that they sell is retail.
You ain't lying about that. You ain't lying about that. I'm gonna give you a prime example. I'm gonna read this question. If I want to stay right there. How does one manage their mind to kill the noise of distractions in order to succeed?
So that would make us jump into mind insurance.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So let's talk about
Let's
mind
talk about
insurance,
mind
and then
insurance.
I'm going to answer the question.
Mm-hmm.
You know how there's insurance for your car,
Mm-hmm.
insurance for your house,
Mm-hmm.
and the purpose of insurance is to help you when there's a crisis, an unexpected thing that happens. So you get in an unexpected accident or something just comes up. You have a policy that protects you, and they'll give you back the things that was damaged.
Correct.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But there's no insurance policy for your mind. What protects your mind? And that's how I came up with the concept, mind insurance. We need something to protect our mind, which is kind of like the person's question.
Mm-hmm.
How do you protect your mind? Well, the first thing you got to do to protect your mind, I call it policy planning.
Okay.
You need to policy plan. What is policy planning? Just like a car, when it is that you buy a new car, let's say you buy a new Tesla, you're in the dealership, you're like, hey, I just got this new Tesla. Then the person on the other line would say, well, what year, what model, what color, how many miles you're going to drive? And they're going to ask you all of these questions.
Yeah.
That's the equivalent of your vision. Many people kind of waver in their thoughts and what they're doing because they don't have a clear vision. Because when you're locked in on what and why you're doing this thing, bro, you go through storms, but you're like, I know where I'm going.
Yeah,
a clear example of this is when you have a sick kid. Like if your kid was sick now, and the only hospital that was open that could take care of him right now was in New Orleans, you would fly, you would walk,
all day.
Right?
Correct.
Clear vision.
Yeah.
You know the outcome that you want.
That's right.
And so you would do anything, don't matter, to get there. Most people say they want real estate. I just want real estate. I want generational wealth. Well, that's the equivalent of me coming here and saying, put Smyrna in the GPS. I wouldn't find you.
Correct.
You got to give me a house number.
Correct.
The street.
Yep.
The town.
Yep.
And the zip code.
That's right.
Without that, the GPS isn't going to take you where you need to go. And most people are just putting in Smyrna. They're just putting in the city and they're in the vicinity. So they're doing real estate. But when something hard comes up, they don't have a anchor that says, here's where I'm going. It doesn't matter. So if you're not clear on where you're going, a lot of things will come up and you wouldn't even know why it's throwing you off and why you're having these mindset problems and these doubts and negative thoughts and all of that. Bro, negative thoughts come to me and I'm like, I hear you, but I know where I'm going. It don't matter. We going anyway.
So you've gotten to a place where you pay for that policy. You've invested in that policy of mind insurance.
Oh yeah.
So what you're saying, and I want you guys to realize that what he said was a powerful statement. He's telling me a powerful statement. And the way he broke that thing down was with so much precision, guys. And he was intentional as to what he just now tapped into, because this is powerful. And you guys, if y'all want, I got to go back and watch the replay. It'll be on my YouTube channel, guys, Rob Van Harris. Make sure y'all go check that out because this was powerful. What you're saying that no matter what comes your way, you have a destination. You have a focus, and that taps back into that that focus management as well. Nothing derails you from where you're traveling to or where you're currently trying to get to or arrive to.
It's going to try. Things are going to try, right? It's going to try to derail you. So what does having that focus, because that's just one of the three things that you need to have a mind insurance policy, by the way.
Oh, that's just one of the three.
That's one of the three.
God darn, okay.
But what does that help you with? Shiny object syndrome.
There you go.
Right? It's like this person doing this person doing that. Like I think I just made a post today because I was talking to some previous clients and I'm like, well, what are you up to now? And he's doing like other things and I'm just like, bro, what are you doing? Like you've hit your ceiling in the thing that you're doing. And so now you're trying to do something else instead of becoming the person that could pass the ceiling. And so you think you're doing a good thing, but it's not what God called you to do.
Again, back to purpose. Back
to that purpose. When you have that purpose and it's aligned with that vision, because obviously your vision and what you're doing is going to be aligned with your purpose, which is why I always start from identity and purpose, because your identity and purpose should give you your vision. It's going to give you where you're going. When you know where you're going now, the next thing you need is a premium payment, because just like when you get an insurance policy, they ask you for the VIN number, they ask you for all of these things. And then what do they say? Here's your premium payment. This is your monthly payment.
Your monthly payment, yeah.
So what are your payments that you have to pay for in your mine insurance policy? Bro, you need a mentor. You need a mentor. You got to pay for that.
Yes.
You got to get that.
Yes.
The reason why is because there's a gap of knowledge between where you are right now and where you want to be.
Correct.
If you already knew, you would have been there. So you got to bridge that gap, hire a mentor.
I totally agree.
The next thing you need is a coach, because there's a difference between a mentor and a coach.
Totally. I totally agree.
Most people hire mentors expecting them to also be their coach, and they go wrong.
Wow.
So what are the differences? The first difference between a mentor and a coach is a mentor will give you the revelation of a thing. It's going to help you to understand the knowledge as to how to do that thing. A coach is going to teach you and help you how to get to the thing.
I like that. Actually, I love that, bro.
Right?
Yes, I love that.
It's going to help you get there.
Great analogy, bro.
You're gonna get the accountability. You're gonna get the steps. You're gonna get the encouragement.
Correct.
People don't realize that LeBron, Kobe, Michael Jordan, all of these guys, yes, they had their main coach on the field, but they also had a high performance coach. Tim Grover was their coach. Right? I can't remember the name of LeBron's high performance coach, but these people was there to push them, to help them achieve their goals. But here's the thing. Social media has disintegrated how people look at this, because they'll be like, well, you're supposed to have done the thing. Have you done the thing? Their coaches didn't even play basketball.
Wow.
Their high performance coaches didn't even play basketball.
Wow.
But they knew how to push results and get results.
That's it.
You know what I mean?
That's it.
And your mentor is the person who should have had done the thing.
Yeah.
Because he's giving you the knowledge. The coach is helping you with implementation and integration.
I love that. And there's one more I like to add to that. I totally agree 1000% of everything you just now touched on. It's one more layer I like to add to that. Mentor, coach, and cheerleader.
Oh, you need that.
Cheerleader, bro.
You need that.
Because the cheerleader is that person that's in your corner when times get tough, when you get down, when you don't feel like, always getting up out the bed in the morning, when your darkest moments, sometimes in those dark clouds, is over top of your head at night before you up 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning. And that person you can call, or that significant other, is the one laying next to you. And when you up, they waking up next to you and trying to really continue to give you that push and give you that nourishment, that spiritual nourishment that you need in order to continue to push forward.
Yes,
man.
Sir.
Cheerleader. Who's the cheerleader in your life, bro?
Bro, I have a few, man. I have my wife, number one. I have one of my boys, Don Rich. He used to be. I mean, he's in sub two, but
Mm-hmm.
he does a lot of different things right now.
Mm-hmm.
I got my parents, bro. My parents are so proud of me, man.
I see that too. I
Yeah,
seen
my
that.
parents are so proud of me, bro.
Mm.
They always there when I'm down, and um, but it's really my wife, man. I cry on my wife a lot.
Mm.
Yeah,
Mm.
probably like I haven't done it in a minute, but it's typically like once every 6 months
Wow.
when things is just rough. And I'm
Wow.
like, babe, this crap is hard.
Wow, bro.
She's like, you got it, man.
Do y'all work in business together too, you
Yeah.
and your way?
Yeah.
How do y'all make that work? Business, life, because life is life, and bro, right now we and it's a lot of fear out here in the air right now. And it's one thing to go into an office and be around, your colleagues and your peers and things like that. But
Yeah.
y'all working together and y'all going home together, waking up together. Like, how do you make that work?
Yeah. Man, it's something that we had to figure out, bro. Because we failed at this a lot. And again, that 2.5 years really helped prepare us. When we moved to Georgia, even when we started the real estate business, it was still really bad. And when I say bad, I mean like I'm leaving the house ready to leave bad. I'm like, I remember when we was in Georgia, bro, and I called my dad and I'm like, bro, I don't know if I can do this.
Just do what? Like life
Just
or
do
life with
just do marriage,
do
bro.
marriage. Okay.
Yeah, bro. I'm like, bro,
Wow.
I don't know if I could do this.
Wow.
Because my ego was in the way, man. Honestly, bro. My ego is in the way where it so I made serious moves to come to Georgia, where I told my wife, hey, her mother had leukemia. She was sick with leukemia.
Oh, wow.
And we lived in New York at this time. And one day I'm doing my devotions and God clearly said, take your wife and go to Georgia, go take care of her mom.
Wow. Wow.
And there's a whole story with that, but just being obedient to God, you got to have context to this as to like what happened. I bought a house. My parents lived upstairs. I had a tenant on the top floor. I'm living in New York City, not paying for rent, making good money. We're good, right? My son lives one traffic light away from me. And God is telling me I got to go to Georgia. Right? Think about the conversation. I remember sitting on the stairs with my son, telling him that I got to leave, and we're both crying, bro. You know what I mean? And so the sacrifice that I made to get to Georgia, to take care of my wife's mom, and I mean, she bought a house, she passed in the house. We did everything together. I treated her like my mom. Right. And then there came times when I just felt like in moments that my wife just wasn't showing me respect in a way, or the things that I thought you should do for me because of look at what I did for you, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that I don't even know if it's not envy. It's that whatever negative, toxic thing that I had where I was doing it for a thanks from her. I had to work out with God, bro, because it was hurting me. And I was looking for my affirmation from her as if I was doing it unto her and not unto God. And I had to deal with that. And that was hard.
How did you go about dealing with that?
My knees, bro. It was straight my knees because I really didn't have anyone. I mean, I'm not from Georgia,
Correct. Correct.
And I really didn't have anyone on a spiritual level to even articulate what I had to go through and how I had to submit my flesh to God and not to man.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
And there was a lot of dying to me. And so that made it really difficult when we were doing both business and entrepreneurship. But as I grew, as she grew, we came up with frameworks and things that we started doing together. So every morning we started doing affirmations together, and the affirmations would be on things that we weren't. So it like we're a team, like all of the things that we weren't.
Correct.
We used to look each other in the eyes and say it. And sometimes you're not just knock you out.
Yeah. Dang. Dang.
But we started just saying it. And over time, we just started becoming a team. Over time, we just started supporting each other. And then we started, and now, again, hindsight, I look back at what we did, and now I'm way more intentional and created a framework around that I say, run your marriage like a business. Because we have weekly check-ins where we meet every week. And this is not to talk about the business. We have business meetings for that, but then we also have personal meetings.
Okay.
And I call it checking in on our relationship KPIs.
Relationship KPIs.
What are your relationship KPIs? Just like how in a business, real estate, you got key metrics like how many calls did you make? That's going to lead to how many leads you got, then conversion and all of the things.
That's right.
What are the key metrics in your marriage and your relationships that you need to hit? Because some men start doing everything. It's again, I'm related to real estate. They use all the marketing strategies, right? They cold calling, they're doing direct mail, they're doing all type of stuff to try to get one lead, and they may get a lead, but they don't know what really worked.
Correct.
In the same way, you could buy your wife gifts, you could do that, and you get frustrated, and then you say, but look at all the things that I'm doing.
Yeah.
And you still want more.
Still not enough.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's because you don't understand the real KPIs.
Wow.
You don't understand the thing that actually moves the needle. And so we went through our process of understanding our relationship KPIs, and we meet and talk about those things like what are you in the area of sexual fulfillment, rated from 1 to 10. She would rate it. And we go through our KPIs, just like literally from 1 to 10. What are you? Oh, you're a 5. Okay, what would make it a 10? She tells me, cool, I acknowledge it. Now it's up to me to not make it a 5 next week. She should be better off, because over time, when we're watching back, it's like, hey, babe, for a month, I've been a 5. But because we love each other, we're going to want to do better.
That's good.
Right. And so that's one of the things that we implement that I think really keeps us more on the healthy side now, man. So it's the meetings, it's the date nights, it's the, here's something that I think is super important, but overlooked in many marriages. Like, we literally meet and talk about our roles and what we do in the house. Oh, you don't like washing dishes? Okay, I'll do it. So our roles is very non-traditional in the sense of, I wash all the dishes. I wash all the clothes. I do a lot of the things that she don't like doing it.
Correct.
Cool.
And that's perfectly fine.
You don't need to do it.
That's perfectly fine.
Guess what? I like doing it.
I like doing it. That's right.
Right. And so she does things that I don't like doing. And the things that we both don't like doing, we either hire out or we
finding good help though nowadays is hard, bro.
It is.
It's hard. I'm looking for a personal assistant right now. And we done went through about 7 people.
Yeah.
It's like people don't want to work no more, bro.
Yeah. It's tough.
I'm dead serious. It's tough. So I'm sitting here listening to you, and I'm taking this in because this is the stuff people don't want to talk about. They just want to talk about how you went about scaling to get those 21 doors. They want to talk about how I get at the bag.
Yeah.
They don't want to talk about how that person that got at the bag and that appeared to be successful right now that you're watching on social media lost his wife in the process, lost the respect for his kids in the process, lost their daggone mind in the process. This is the stuff that people don't want to talk about. Relationship KPIs. That's heavy. That is heavy, bro. Like where do they? Because I know. Okay, wait a minute, man. Wait a minute, bro. Because man. Because I believe that, and me and you talked about this one time. We tapped into a little bit on your podcast about tradition. Sometimes I just think not only tradition, just the way that we was raised and the things that we were surrounded by have shaped us and molded us into it's created toxic men, toxic masculinity, bro. Like for real, if you think about it, because when people define a man, it's like in relationship, a man in a relationship or in a marriage, it's like, I'm man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What you cooking tonight?
Yep.
You know what I mean? A lot of men, truth to the matter is, don't want to basically talk about this, but they intimate with their wives, but the wife ain't getting nothing out of that thing.
Yeah.
It's bam, bam, thank you, man.
Yeah.
Bro, your wife ain't no daggone jumping board, bro. You know what I mean? Like it takes talks and discussions as to what you just now tapped into to be real with each other in order for this thing to have longevity.
Yes, sir.
But we just taught that, you know what I mean? Like, and truth to the matter, women of the day ain't even having that anyway. Talking about some cook it clean, stay home, cook it clean, want to keep me barefooted and bow-legged, what do they call pregnant and barefooted.
Yeah, nah, it ain't working today.
It ain't working with these women of the day anyway, man. You wonder why, you know what I mean? Like, you can't find a woman to commit because, bro, we've been trained wrong. We've been taught, like, what if Pops was wrong? What if Uncle Bob and them was wrong? But again, it goes back to that true identity thing and finding out who you were, like finding your identity and how we supposed to move as men. And the ultimate blueprint for that is really, man, like the word, finding who God is, because I truly believe that when you find out who God is, and people are beat around that, you know what I mean? But truthfully, when you find out who God is really when you would start to really open up that book. And not only will you open up that book, you would have that intimate relationship with him to where you talked about getting down on your knees, where he just started revealing things to you and just guiding you and walking with you and talking with you. And now you go to a place from here to there, but you just didn't arrive to that place. It took time, not time with me trying to do it all on my own.
Yeah.
Not me talking about, I'm a man, you know, I'm just going to carry all this weight on my shoulder. I'm just going to get it done. I'm just going to get down to it and just do what a man got to do. Sometimes God will break you down. Won't even break you down. Life will break you down because God, you're doing this to yourself. Exactly. But God will allow it to happen to the point when he come in and rebuild you, you will no longer look like the thing you was before, or no longer have those inner things that was in you before. Because sometimes God want to get you to that quiet place to where he like, all right, you ready to let me be God now?
Yeah, man.
You done tried everything your way. You know what I mean? Or can I be God now? Can I take the wheel? And that's where I believe that's what you tapped into, because those are the hard conversations that's not being had within marriage, bro. Yeah. You hear what I'm saying? Yeah. I want to, because we know we short on time here, man, and you know we try to go for an hour strong, man. I really want to tap into. You said something, man, and I wrote this down. You said on your IG, man, and I'm gonna make sure I want people to tap into your IG because you got a lot of relevant and great information that us as men need on your page, bro. You know what I mean? You ain't only been an aspiration and a friend, bro, to me, but I mean, you really are, like I said to you, man, you are inspiration, bro, and you know, to others. Yeah. Brothers look at you, and brothers need to see other men that walk like us and talk like us, as genuinely not trying to just put on for social media, but really doing the thing, really living the life. Sure. You said this quote, and I don't know if this was yours or you got it from somewhere, but you said, on one, you said your bank account shows your standards for living.
Mm-hmm.
Your soul determines your quality of life.
Yeah.
That was deep, bro.
Yeah.
That was deep, man.
I mean, when you live out of your soul, if your soul isn't happy, then your quality of life sucks.
Let me ask you this. What's the difference between, because some people want to say soul, some people, what's the difference between soul and spirit?
Yeah. So it's a real, this is really deep, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I can't say that I have the perfect answer.
Mm-hmm.
Let me say that. Your soul is comprised of your thoughts, your emotions, and your affections,
Mm-hmm.
your desires, like those things.
Mm-hmm.
That's what your soul is made up of. And I could go so deep on that, because if you don't know what a soul is, how could you have a soul mate?
Correct.
If you don't understand what a soul is.
Correct.
Right.
That's good.
So anyway, that's a whole different podcast.
That's good.
Your spirit is your communication, how you communicate to God. God sent us his spirit, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is how we speak to God. This is beyond our body, which includes the soul.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
So that spirit is how God talks to us, talks through us. Mm-hmm. It's almost like vapor, where that vapor is trapped inside of us. And it's our gateway to God, bro. It's our gateway to God. And like I said, I've studied it, but I haven't had to answer this question in a long time. Mm-hmm. So it gets in some nitty gritty things that you got to be very philosophical and really get into it. So
and that was good. That was good, because I agree. Some people use spirit and soul interchangeably, right? Mm-hmm. So it's one of those things to where
they're different.
They're different. They're very different. Spirit to me, it's your inner man. That's who you are. That's your it's your spirit. That's your spirit, man. We live in a body.
Yep.
Your spirit man live in our body. Your body is housing who you truly are.
Yeah.
Your true identity, who you truly are. Yeah. You know what I mean? And you're going to basically be, when you go to pass through, and that's a whole other podcast, like my man just now said, Cash just touched on. But your soul, that's your thinker, that's your mind, your chooser, your emotions. Mm-hmm. I totally agree with that. Mm-hmm. But some people, the reason why I ask, some people use it together. And it is a big difference. And a lot of what we're talking about identity, and we're talking about purpose and things like that, it's important that we point out certain things, man. Especially we tapped on, masculinity and things like that on today, and what you talked about for as family dynamics and marriage. Mm-hmm. One of the things I wanted to, before we tap out here, man, and land this plane, I wanted to talk about where the kids fit in. What's your family dynamic look like? Like, where's the kids in all of this?
Bro, my kids are everywhere in all of this. My son is 15. He lives in Maryland with his mom right now. Mm-hmm. Right? He's with me now in Atlanta, but he typically lives in Maryland with his mom. And so
that's your oldest?
Yeah, my 15-year-old. Mm-hmm. My daughter, she just turned 1. So she's a baby.
Baby. Yeah.
Yeah. So my son, when he's here, I have him try to help out with sales, because he knows how to communicate. So I try to get him on the phone, give him some sales. When he was 13, we bought him his first rental property. So I've started teaching him how to start managing money and just understanding business, and, because I gave him cash flow from that. And I wanted to make sure it's really important that he knows that the money isn't coming from me, it's coming from the tenant. This is what cash flow does for your life. Right. And he had free reign to do whatever he wanted. I gave him $50, right? From his cash flow. And so now he's in a sales position where he's able to close deals and go back home with a bunch of cash, right? Because as a high performance coach, we're selling 10K packages, right? And so he gets a commission from that, 10%. I mean, he wants to talk to people all day, right? So it's one of those things where he's getting a different perspective of money when he's with me, because he's able to be like, so today we closed, somebody came on board, and just the concept of like
came on board to your
coaching program.
Okay, cool.
And just to see that kind of money in a day for him is just like, it's like
wow.
that.
Yeah.
Like, wow, man. Like,
yeah.
And so, but I'll give you, I'm not perfect. Today, I'm, having some calls or whatever, and it's his last day of basketball camp today. And my wife is like, oh, babe, it's David's last day. And I thought she was saying bye. I'm like, all right, see you guys later. And she's like, she came back. She's like, dude, let's go. I'm like, I'm in flow. I'm talking to people,
Yeah.
And she's like, bro, you said that you were going to his last day.
Wow.
Like, I'm like, you know what? Immediately, I said, you're right. I did say that. And I shut down and I went,
Shut down. That's it.
I shut down and went. My wife had to check me. Right? She came and she was like, nah, bro.
Let's go.
We going.
Because I think with what you're touching on right now, bro, is true legacy. That's legacy, because our kids, bro, they not going to remember everything we said, but they're going to remember all of what we did.
Yeah, bro.
You hear what I'm saying? My boys, bro, every single last one of them are totally different. But when it comes down to certain morals, they're their dad, bro. Every single last one of them want a woman. They're not jumping around playing those games. I'm not that dad that's, you know what I mean? Yeah, you know what I mean? Got your beak wet yet, little nigga?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that ain't what we on. Because there's too many dads out here making babies, but then ain't sticking around to raise them.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then you got these kids growing up and they basically trying to find a dad, and what they consider their old heads that's just a couple years older than them.
Right.
And they don't even know what the heck they're doing.
Exactly.
They're confused as to what, this thing should look like and how this thing should go. And guess what? We're all still arriving to a place. None of us arrived, guys. This is the part that people don't understand. It's still a journey. It's not a destination. This life thing is a journey.
Yeah.
And they think that, I think what you just touched on is so big, because me, I'm big on family, and I'm big on investing time in my kids, because I truly believe that you can give them money and leave them with money, but that's not leaving a legacy. A legacy is telling them and teaching them and bringing them along with you and spending that time with them and going to their games. And that's legacy, because those are the things that's going to carry on. They're going to now go to their kids' games.
Exactly.
Now, and guess what? Not only do the money thing, that's just a byproduct of the legacy. Because the money thing, they always going to know how to make money. You see what I'm saying? Because they've been coached there, even when they didn't know they were being coached, even when they didn't know, that they were being coached by Pops. Pops was already giving them the game. So I watch people, and I talked to my son about this yesterday. I say, people get left with a bunch of money, but the parents never took out that time to teach them as to how to respect and honor money. Or no, let me take that, respect money, because you don't need to honor money, because it's not about money being a rule of all evil. It's the love for money, you know what I mean, being a rule of all evil. And that's what we talked about in your podcast. It's just, don't be mammon driven. That's going to be, that you're a king. When I go, you're going to be a king. when royalty don't look at money and look at the things that people that may have come from a poor place, right? Look at things.
Yeah.
A prince know that one day he will be king. Rather on when his dad go to be with the Lord,
Yeah.
or he only other way he could be king is he go take over territory somewhere else. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, man.
But at the end of the day, as far as being in the bloodline of a king, you're already royalty.
Bro, you know what? What I want to highlight from what you said in legacy, I also want to acknowledge that even though I help men do these things, I still falter. I still falter myself. But are you open and willing to be checked by your wife and not get into an argument?
That part right there.
Right?
That part right there, bro.
I'm like, thank you, babe. Close the computer right away. Like I'm like, got it. Thanks.
But that's the part that people don't see though, Keshta. And a lot of people, they ego. You know what I mean? The toxic stuff that we've been, important to us as men as to, because a lot of people, even what we're talking on right now, they don't understand that they just want to talk about the bag. A lot of people just want to get to the bag, but you got to understand that before we can touch true wealth, true success is really about the foundational things that we're touching on right now. Because again, you can get to the bag, but again, if you lose everything in the process, your mind, your family, your wife, what was it all worth? You're sitting in a big house with the big cars and the mansion, and you don't even have nobody around to even share it with and enjoy any of these things with.
Nothing.
And a rich man, and then you become a rich man that's truly broke. Right? You a rich man that literally is poor because we basically paid attention and spent time chasing things that had no true value.
What is it worth for a man to
gain the whole world
and lose his soul
in the process?
Right.
So, bro, I knew it was gonna be good, man, because I just know how me and you get together and how we break bread.
Yeah, man.
Final words, man. Final words. Because here's what I want you to touch on in the final words. People, it's a lot of fear in the air right now. People don't know what to do in regards to where their next paycheck is even going to come from, let alone, bro, like how they're going to survive throughout, the end of this year. Like, what would you recommend a person do to get to the goals and the things that they're currently looking to accomplish? What would you recommend they do in the current economy? Let's touch on that first. And these is final words, but I want to touch on somebody that's in a position they have very low or no money. They're getting hurt by the economy. Real estate, I hear agents all the time, real estate game, shout out. I don't have any listings. The market is horrible. Investors right now, this is the worst 2 years in investing ever. But people like you and I are still thriving. Why is that? Like, what would you recommend somebody that's in a position right now, a bunch of doors, bunch of houses, bunch of multi-families and things like that? What would you recommend they do?
So my answer is going to seem very, is going to be like, that's too slow, or that's too, but I really mean this. I would literally start by knowing who you are. I would still start there. Knowing who you are. When you know who you are, and then why you're here, and then you take that to then apply it to the skills that you already have, you have that vision. Okay, what's the vision? Where am I going? Down to the address. What is, like, how precise? Okay, you're a real estate investor. You want X amount of doors, but based on your purpose, you probably want group homes, or you want assisted livings, or you want, so you apply the thing or strategy based on your purpose, not just to make money. When you start doing that, you will make money because you will now become a brand. People will know you for that. You would be loud about that. And now you're only doing that. People only come to me for mindset stuff. Why? Because I'm living in my purpose. So they know, oh, you want mindset? Go to Keston. Oh, you want to achieve a goal? Go to Keston. Oh, you want marriage stuff? Go to Keston.
Yes.
Anything with life, go to Keston. Right?
That's
Why?
Right.
Because I live in my purpose. And so when you apply this to real estate, then you define the goal, but then you reverse engineer. Okay, I want 21 doors in 12 months. Okay, cool. Yeah. What's your budget?
That's good.
How do you get it?
That's good.
Like, you start thinking, what's my acquisition process? What's my exit? What's my, all of these things? And so I'll just give this really quick game, because this is how I did it. I wanted to get 21 doors. I wanted more. I wanted 28. I was short. But I wanted
about 7. Okay, but still in a year, 21. That's still huge accomplishment. Okay.
So what I decided, I'm like, okay, who do I need to speak to? I decided I wanted to talk to tired landlords. So what did I do? I started looking for tired landlords, people who own property for more than 10 years, but they had more than 4 properties. Why? The likelihood of somebody that owning properties for more than 10 years that has more than 4, they didn't just get a property and had to deploy or go somewhere and became a landlord by mistake. So now when I'm pitching them creative, they already heard it. Boom, you already heard it. Now the conversation is a lot easier. Now, once I get you to like me, and you sell me the first home, like clockwork, I'm calling you every month to make sure you got your money, to ask you about your cat, to ask you about your daughter and your family. You got to like me. I want you to love me. I'm bringing you stuff.
That's good.
Right?
That's good.
Now you like me. Now I'm bringing you stuff. Now you know that this guy is a good guy. By month 3, like clockwork, you're going to tell me about all the other properties that you want to sell.
You ain't lying.
And so I've bought 8 properties from this one, 5 from this one. I didn't buy from a whole bunch of sellers. It was like 3. They just sold me all.
Yo, that's why you treat your clients like it's your first and your last. It's all about relationship, and treating people the way that you would want to be treated. That right there will take you and give your business and put you in a position where you have longevity. You will be around 15, 20, 30 years from now, because people that's just chasing a check, chasing a commission, a lot of the reason why those people that you seen thriving during the pandemic and all that, and everybody was all the way up, they gone now, is because they was chasing a check and they wasn't really looking out for the people. They wasn't looking out for the best interests of the people. And that's the real truth, the hard truth that nobody want to make mention of. Because when you treat people right and you're really treating people the way that you would want to be treated, ultimately, man, people going to want to do business with you. People is going to give you referrals. People are going to tell other people about you, man. It's inevitable, guys. It's inevitable. You're going to get referrals. You're going to get them people to circle back with you and want to do more business with you. And that's just point blank period, man. With that being said, man, talking about referrals and talking about wanting to do business with you, where can people locate you, man? What social media platforms are you on, man, where people can find you?
Kess on Purpose, on Instagram, on YouTube, or just my name on Facebook, you know? So if anybody out there trying to achieve a goal, I make promises to people, like I'll help you achieve whatever goal in 90 days or less. I've done it time and time again for people, because I know how to work on your identity to make you become the person.
That was my next question. How can people add value to you? And what ways can you add value to people? And how can they get in, of course, get in touch with you? And so they can go to your social media platform.
Yeah.
If they're looking to get in touch with you, and you're going to help them get their mind right, find that purpose, and a mix of finding that purpose, finding their and discovering their identity, and ultimately help them get to that bag.
Exactly. Once you become the person, the bag comes.
You ain't lying, bro.
The bag comes. And we work on that too, because, with the high performance, setting goals and all of that, that's really important. I just start with those things because you can't build a skyscraper on a rocky foundation.
I totally agree, bro.
Right. Totally agree. So we just deal with the whole man, where you have the right foundation, then we just build a skyscraper. So the first few weeks we deal on the foundation, and then we just build.
That's it right there, man.
Bro.
Appreciate it, brother.
Thank you for having me, man.
Thank you, bro.
I appreciate that.
Man. Guys, with that being said, man, we have come to the end of another episode of the Rob Van Harris podcast. Guys, again, here, as you can see, I'm bringing in people who specialize in their lanes, guys, and specialize in the area of business. And not just business, but again, guys, this podcast is not just helping you to thrive in business, but helping you to thrive in life, guys. And with that being said, guys, we're going to go ahead and land the plane, guys. And thank y'all for joining, man. We appreciate y'all. Let's continue to go and grow. I'll see y'all on the next video. Let's get it. We're out, guys.